So I've got 3 of these Bell and Gossett pumps here, and one of them has been leaking. I originally thought that was oil leaking on the floor, but I've since discovered that it's water. This year, the 4th year that we've owned this house, these pumps didn't fire up. This one didn't fire up and that one didn't fire up. So I've learned my lesson here in that you don't just fill up this with oil. Pull this off to inspect what's going on in there. In my case, this was completely full of water, and water was actually coming out the top of this. It was even getting on top of here. But we definitely had crustiness here and here and here. So if you see any of that, or you see the crustiness that's down there, there's a good chance that you've got a leak in the bearing portion of the pump. The impeller in here where you've got water flowing, and you've got the bearing that is essentially stopping the water from coming out of here into the bearing. And then the pump is independent, and it's actually connected via a spring mechanism there that is a coupler to, that way when the motor tries to run, it can still move and get some motion for that alternating current that's going through there. We do have 120 volts going in here, and in our scenario we had this wire really tight coming down straight into the pump, so it was like dangling by this tight wire. So because I know this is going to happen again, because I haven't fixed the leak in the bearing, I've added a switch up here so that I can kill the motor. And then that way I don't have to have somebody running upstairs to the thermostat and, hey, shut it off, test it, turn, you know, or fix it, turn it on, test it. So here, you see, I'm able to shut it off here with the thermostat, you know, way up, and you can see the springs in there. But again, that crustiness on that bearing shows that the water is actually getting all the way through. What this should look like inside is probably more like this. So you see it's nice new aluminum and no crustiness in there. So this is a newer pump, and it looks nothing like the condition of this old crusty one with all kinds of nastiness in there. There's a rope that actually lays over top, and on that side over there comes back. So it goes, you know, over and then back. And when I hit that with a vacuum to suck the water out with shop vac, the rope pulled up out. But now it's probably going to get wet again, which is no good for the bearing, but I'm going to try to keep an eye on this to make sure that it doesn't fill up with water again. One of the things I worry about is the pump shuts off for a while and it's probably going to seize like it did before. You know, metal sitting underwater is, yeah, it's going to seize. Never going to be good for it. Terrible lubricant. And I need to investigate this one over here. That one has screws on the cap. So let's go ahead and just take a look at what's going on here. Now, in this case, it looks like we've got, you know, an oily residue on top, but can't even get my screwdriver in there. But I'm trying to, I'm going to open this one up and take a look. Guess I'll need a smaller screwdriver in order to do that. But I'm going to take a look at what's going on inside that one there. But it could very easily cost you multiple thousands of dollars of, in this case, we don't have valves draining the entire system in order to replace the pump and the bearing. Or just understanding what's going on. You know, remove these 4 bolts. You can crank the bearing with a pair of pliers and be able to get it free and running again. And you know, check inside here to see if you're getting water into your bearing. I'm imagining that these pumps will last probably forever, because you can see this one's still going, and that one got to be from the 50s. I can't imagine that it's any newer than the 50s. This one's probably from, maybe from the 70s or later, I don't know. But again, another good thing for testing, just put a switch in the loop here. That way it makes it a lot easier for me to work on it in the event that this happens again. So these appear to be really easy to work on. You can take them completely apart But you just have that problem of potentially having to drain the entire system, which is going to cost hours and hours if you do not have isolation valves on them, as basically none of my circuits do here. I think we've got one there, not a very good valve, but it's still not isolating it from the entire other side of the system. This here looks like a valve, but it's just going to isolate maybe one radiator. So we're planning on replacing this entire heating system, so just keeping it running for another year or two is all we really want to do, and that can save us thousands of dollars by just knowing what you're working with.